In Chapter 3 of the book, we're going to look at how you bring in income. And so Chapter 3.1 specifically looks at how you bring in money if you are paid by the hour. Now, just kind of a little preface. You can earn money kind of two ways. One is you can be self-employed, which means that you go out there, you get your own jobs, you do your own work, you work for yourself, you bring in your own money. The other way that you can make money is if you actually work for a business as an employee. And if you do work for a business as an employee, there's kind of three ways that they pay you overall. One is you make money by the hour. So for example, this whole chapter, we're going to kind of use this backdrop of a coffee shop. Well, those type of people get paid by the hour if you're a barista at a coffee shop. Another way to get paid is to make a specific salary amount. And that means you get paid a specific amount regardless of the number of hours that you work. So most people that are paid salary will work at least 40 hours a week, but they may work 50 or 60 hours a week. So this would be somebody who's a manager at a business will typically be paid salary instead of being paid hourly. And then kind of the third way you can make money is by the volume of work that you complete. And that might be, for example, we have here cutting lawns. If you work for a place, even if you're an employee there, it doesn't have to be you owning the business. Instead of paying you by the hour, they may pay you by the number of lawns that you actually cut. So this whole section is actually going to look at how do we calculate what we are paid for based off of the number of hours that we work. So hourly pay is actually broken up kind of into three categories. Most companies will pay you straight pay for either the first 8 hours that you work in a day or for the first 40 hours that you work per week. You can then earn something called overtime, and that's where they pay you time and a half on any time that you work over 8 hours per day or over the 40 hours per week. It would be written down kind of in your contract to say whether or not they're going to base the overtime on hours per day or hours per week. And then most businesses will pay you double time if you work on a paid holiday. So for example, when I used to work at a shoe store and we were open and we had sales, especially on holidays like Labor Day or on Memorial Day, those would typically be holidays that are paid holidays if you don't work. So even if you don't show up to work, you actually get paid for the day. But I always asked to work on those days because they would pay me twice the amount of money and I could make a lot more money working the holiday. Here's a chart kind of showing you how you would calculate out that pay based off of the type of pay you're getting. So straight pay would be you just get the rate that you agreed to. You can see here we've got a column here that says rate, and then we have a column that says multiplier and then pay per hour. So if I got straight rate, my agreed to rate was $10 per hour, my multiplier is 1. I'm not getting anything extra for just working my normal hours that's up to 8 hours per day or 40 hours per week. But once I go to overtime, even though my rate is $10 an hour, I have a multiplier of 1.5 because I'm not getting paid just $10 an hour. Now I'm getting time and a half. So I take that 10 times the 1.5 gives me $15 per hour. And if I work a holiday and I get double pay, I've still got this rate of $10 per hour, but I get twice that right now because it's double time. So that means instead of getting $10 an hour, I get $20 per hour. So let's see some sample problems of this. Our first example here, we have Ludwig van Beethoven. He earned $15 an hour playing the piano at a coffee shop. He made time and a half if he worked over 40 hours for that week. What did he earn if he worked 43 hours in a week? Well, as we can see up here, it says that he makes $15 an hour for 40 hours a week. So he worked 43 hours this week. This is the amount that he worked minus the 40 hours. This would be the like your straight pay. So we'll just say this is our straight rate. And this up here is our hours worked. And that means that he's going to have 3 hours of overtime. Now to calculate this out, I can take my 40 hours here and I can multiply that times $15 per hour. And that's going to give me $600. So for the first 40 hours he works per week, he makes $600. Then he has 3 hours of overtime. So I have 3 times 15, but I'm also going to multiply that by my multiplier of 1.5 because that's my extra amount that I'm getting on this. And when I multiply that out, this gives me 67.5. So I just took 3 hours times 15 times 1.5. And when I add both of these up together, this gives me 667.50 is how much money he made for that week. We have Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and he earned $15 an hour for playing the piano at a coffee shop. He made time and a half if he worked over 8 hours a day. What did he earn if he worked 7 hours on a Monday, 10 hours on a Tuesday, 6 hours on a Wednesday, and 10 hours on a Friday? So I need to give myself a little chart here so I can see how much money did he actually make. So I have on Monday, I have the regular time, and then this is going to be time and a half. All right, so I'm just going to put in here how many hours he gets for each. So on Monday it said he worked 7 hours. That's under 8 hours, so all of that is just at regular pay. Then on Tuesday, he worked 10 hours. Well, the first 8 is regular pay, and then the next 2 is going to be time and a half because that's over the 8 hours. It says on Wednesday he worked 6 hours, so all of that is regular pay. On Thursday he didn't work, but then on Friday it says he worked another 10 hours. So the first 8 is at regular pay, the next 2 is not. So here for my regular pay, if I add all of this up, this is going to give me 29 hours. And then over here for my time and a half, I have 4 hours of overtime. It says he works $15 an hour, so I'm going to take this times 15, and that's going to give me $435 for regular pay. Now for time and a half, I'm going to multiply it by 15, and I'm also going to multiply it by 1.5. That's my increased rate because I'm not just getting it as straight pay, now I'm getting it at time and a half. So when I multiply all of this out, this is going to give me $90. I can add these two together, and that's going to give me $525. So that's the amount of money that Mozart made working at the coffee shop with those extra hours. I have here Johann Sebastian Bach earned $15 an hour playing the violin at a coffee shop. He made twice the daily rate if he worked on a paid holiday and time and a half if he worked over 40 hours. What did he earn if he worked 41 hours that week and 8 of those hours were on the date of a paid holiday? All right, so we've got 41 hours is how many hours he worked. And we know that part of them were for a holiday and part of them were for overtime. So he has 1 hour of overtime, and that's because he worked more than 40 hours a week. He also has 8 hours for his holiday. So in order to figure out how much he has for regular pay, I basically am going to take this 41, I'm going to subtract off 1, that gives me 40. I'm going to subtract off this 8, and now that gives me 32 of regular pay. Put regular right there. So I can then calculate out how much money he made for each item. So for 32 hours of regular, I multiply that times 15, and that's going to give me $480. I have 8 holiday hours, so I'm going to multiply 8 times 15, but I have to also multiply this by 2 because he gets double pay for that day. So that means that he's going to get $240 just for working on the holiday. And then I had 1 hour of overtime, so I'm going to multiply that times 15, then multiply that times 1.5, and when I do that, that's going to give me $22.50. I can add all of these up together, and when I add them all up, that gives me $742.50. So that's how much he made because he had overtime and a paid holiday.